Hello, everybody, and welcome to Real Madrid Hub, your source for Real Madrid news. I am your host, Eric Rivera. And even though the transfer market is over, the fact that we did not get Kylian Mbappe, and by we, I mean Real Madrid, of course, the fact that Kylian Mbappe did not come to Real Madrid is, of course, going to make certain that the news of Kylian Mbappe is going to continue until this man finally comes to Real Madrid on January 1st, or essentially becomes a free agent on January 1st and can sign, and then in 9 months from now is a Real Madrid player. Is that going to happen? Well, it's all up to the football gods, of course, because that means that Kylian Mbappe has to stay, true to his word in a way, or true to, essentially, he has to stay strong, because I'm pretty sure he's going to have all sorts of offers from PSG. But in, just some news here, of course, Manu Carreño of El Larguero said that, basically he made a couple of different statements the last day of the transfer window, which, of course, was on Tuesday. And he said, well, PSG has millions has more than enough millions. 180 million, or whatever the offer is that Real Madrid, would throw at them, they don't care about it. Their issue is that they don't have a Champions League. They've been fighting for a Champions League. They still can't get it, no matter how much money you throw at it. And the thing is, one of the things that they were saying that really, it wasn't, in a lot of ways, it wasn't that Real Madrid wasn't able to get Mbappe because they couldn't come to an agreement. It's that there was never any negotiation. According to Manu Carreño, nobody ever sat with the president of Real Madrid. Nobody ever answered. And it's because PSG doesn't care about, the money. They don't need the money. What they need are the Champions Leagues, and the Champions League, and that's what they want. And they feel that without Mbappe, they're not going to get it. There's many they're looking for and besides that, even if the deal had gone through, one of the things that PSG was stopping PSG from, I guess, letting Mbappe go was the fact that they couldn't find anybody to replace him, of course. We know that already, that they even looked to get Haaland, and Mino Raiola said no, and of course Borussia Dortmund wasn't willing to sell. And they just really couldn't get anywhere. And that is essentially what Manu Carreño said, is that really at the end of the day, guys, the money isn't what matters to these people. What matters is that they just want to get a Champions League any way they can. And, my personal thoughts on that, and I've said it before, is you can't buy greatness. I've said it on my podcast. It doesn't matter if you sell, put the money in or whatever. You can buy all these players. They've done it. They've brought in, who else who has not been at PSG at this point? They've had Ibrahimovic. They have Mbappe. They've had Neymar. They now have Messi. They now have Sergio Ramos. They have Wijnaldum. They have Ashraf Hakimi, Verratti. The team has players, but they still haven't been able to win a Champions League, because you can't buy greatness. You can't buy, you just can't throw money at a problem and get it. Manchester City's tried to do the same thing, and they've come up empty-handed. And, Real Madrid, even in the Galactico era, tried to do as much as they could, bought a bunch of, players, and still did well actually in the Champions League. So it could be that that's what they're looking for, but it doesn't mean that you became a dynasty of greatness, and it's not going to happen overnight. And they've tried it and tried it and tried it, and I hope, anyway, moving on, I'll get into what I was about to say in a second, but basically it's that in a report by Alex Genero from Defensa Central, I don't even know how you would say his last name, Alex Genero from Defensa Central, it says that because after the war for Mbappe, the next war between Madrid and PSG essentially is going to be for Paul Pogba in 2022 when he has not re-signed, he has not renewed with Manchester United. He's demonstrated that he wants to go to Real Madrid. This has been something that we've known for quite some time, is that he wants to go to Real Madrid, and they've been kind of having conversations back and forth with Mino Raiola, and he's wanted to go there before, and there's always been sort of this idea of Paul Pogba coming, during the Zidane era. Of course, he was a player that Zidane wanted too. And in the Gaceta dello Sport, they say that Real Madrid and PSG will go after him in 2022 when he becomes a free agent, essentially, and they want to sign him in the summer of 2022, and that is going to be the next fight between Real Madrid and PSG. At this point, it seems that there is a war between the Emir of Qatar and even basically France, in a sense, to start a war against Florentino Perez and Real Madrid. So this has just begun. It doesn't matter how much money Real Madrid gave to PSG. It doesn't matter if it was 160 million apparently at the beginning, then it went to 180 million, 200 million, and then apparently 223 million. They never answered. They never wanted to play ball. They just, their whole thing is, according to Gaceta dello Sport, what they were saying, what PSG wants and what Qatar wants is that this player, that when the World Cup in Qatar comes around, essentially not only will Mbappe be a player for France, but at the same time he will be he will be a player of PSG, a French team, not a Spanish team. That is what is super important to the French. It's super important to PSG, and of course to the Emir. Is that they want him to be, they want him to be a PSG player because it helps their PR. They are willing, and according here to Alex Genero, he basically says they are willing to give him the best salary in the world, and I would guarantee that they will try to convince Kylian to stay, giving him palaces or part of the Eiffel Tower or part of the Champs-Élysées if they need to. And what's going to be important here is that Mbappe is going to have to withstand 4 months of pressure to basically continue on and make his dream come true. And then after the Mbappe situation is Paul Pogba, of course, wants to come here. He has not renewed. He has a dream of coming and playing at Real Madrid, as many other players do. You don't see players saying that and this is a personal note, of course, this is not what Defensa Central said or Gaceta dello Sport, but you don't see anybody with the dreams of playing at PSG, and there's a reason for that, because PSG does not have, they can throw, like I said, they can throw all the money in the world at it, and at the situation. They can have all the money in the world, they can bring Messi, they can bring Sergio Ramos, they can do all this stuff, but they will never have the pedigree of Real Madrid. And that's what irks them at the end, is that their money can't solve all the problems in the world. And at this point too, with Pogba, since he's leaving as a free agent, they don't have the upper hand. Again, when we were negotiating, or not even negotiating, when the negotiations were happening for Real Madrid and Mbappe, they had the upper hand because he's still under contract at PSG. And essentially most teams, of course, when they're going to lose a player and a player is showing interest of leaving, what they're going to do is they are going to negotiate, because they don't want to lose an asset that is, hundreds of millions of euros, that's worth hundreds of millions of euros. But in this case, they didn't care. They didn't care because they can afford those 200 million euros if need be. And they're 100% convinced that they can make Kylian Mbappe stay, that they can get him to renew. But I would be so incredibly happy if at the end of the day Kylian Mbappe decides to leave on a free, because he said, see, here's the thing that's funny to me, and before we move on to the next news here, what's funny to me is that Leonardo says Kylian Mbappe promised us that he would never leave for free, right? Well, he didn't try to leave for free. And then Kylian Mbappe said that Leonardo and PSG promised him that if he wanted to leave, they would negotiate. They would negotiate with the team that came for him. And these guys didn't even want to negotiate for him. So I believe that at this point, Mbappe knows, why should I keep my promise of not leaving on a free if you guys didn't keep your promise in negotiating for me? When this team came and even asked money for me, you know? So at this point, there is no man of my word kind of thing, especially with people like Leonardo and Al-Khelaifi and the Emir. At this point, the battle is open. And the battle is going to continue because we know that Real Madrid they'll go after Pogba and they're going to go after Mbappe as well. And they already took Camavinga from PSG, which is another player that PSG wanted as well. And we got him. And that's going to continue. This battle is going to continue. And it's funny that it's all French players too. In other news, the fact that Real Madrid was not able to buy Mbappe, was not able to get Mbappe in this transfer window, actually resulted in a positive balance sheet for Real Madrid. Essentially, you know, they paid Eduardo Camavinga in a total about 31 million euros. And what happens is they made 84 million euros in transfers this season. So essentially, paying only 31 million for Camavinga left them with essentially a benefit or a positive balance of 53 million euros in the transfer market in the negotiations during this season. So that is actually something that came out, because in a way, what they are doing, the point is that all of this money that was left, the 223 million euros that reportedly Florentino Perez was willing to pay for Kylian Mbappe, that money, along with this positive balance, or part of this positive balance, I guess, of 53 million euros, is going to stay in a very, 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 strong, safe somewhere where they are going to keep that money hidden and essentially keep it in wait to get Mbappe and pay him what he wants, and then also to get Haaland and to sign Pogba. That is what Alex Genero from Defensa Central is saying. That is the plan of Real Madrid. Real Madrid's plan is that next season we are not going to have only Camavinga. We are also going to bring in Pogba. We're going to bring in Haaland, and we're going to bring in Mbappe. What a team that would be if essentially that happens. But once again, we're going to have to fight PSG for it, and they are dead set on trying to ruin things for us at this point. At this point, PSG is the team that I wish nothing but the worst for. I mean, I thought Barcelona was a team that I disliked. This is the team that I dislike the most. I mean, I dislike them both, but for different reasons. One is an eternal rival, and the other one is just an annoying team in the world of football right now that just wants to buy everyone because they think they can buy history, and they're not going to get anything. They're not going to get anything. They're not going to get a Champions League, and I hope they lose to every single team they play in the league on Uber Eats. Moving on from that information, another report from Raúl Gutiérrez from Defensa Central is saying that essentially the circle around Mbappe, including his dad and including other people that were involved in the entire trying to get the entire attempt to get Mbappe to Real Madrid, spoke with Florentino last night, or essentially this is a report from the 1st of September, which was yesterday. So spoke to him on the deadline day and looked at everything as gave thanks to Florentino for his efforts to get Mbappe. At the end of the day, saying that they valued what he did and that he tried to get him, and that they appreciated the fight that he put in to try to get Kylian this same summer. They said it couldn't be, but that they are very happy and very thankful for the interest, of course. And essentially, it shows that the gamble that Madrid is trying to play for Mbappé, or essentially the pursuit of Mbappé, is very serious for Real Madrid. And Real Madrid wanted to show that to Kylian Mbappé, and for all intents and purposes, it seems like his entire family and people around him are very, very happy about it, because it is his dream to play for Real Madrid. And if it is truly his dream to play for Real Madrid, as we saw of the pictures of that boy when he was a young kid, with walls plastered with both Zidane and Cristiano Ronaldo as Real Madrid players wearing the white in his room, those posters, this kid wants to play at Real Madrid, and now Real Madrid, the club that he's always dreamed of, has showed the same interest in him. Basically wanting to throw all of the, as they say in Spanish, carne al asador, all of, throwing the kitchen sink would be the equivalent in English. Throwing everything but the kitchen sink at this guy in order to get him to Real Madrid. And they are very happy about that. I mean, if you were a player that dreamed of coming to some team and that team showed the same amount of effort to bring you to their team, I think you would be grateful too. I mean, you would be happy too. So at this point, Mbappé, in a lot of ways, what they're saying is that in a conversation by phone between people close to Mbappé, they personally thank Florentino for what he tried to do for Kylian Mbappé. And that in Real Madrid, they do not see it as a failure, because they understand that Mbappé, or the feeling is that Mbappé is going to return the favor of what Real Madrid did fighting for him, and is going to resist renewing until the 1st of January, which is when he will become a free agent and he will be able to negotiate with Real Madrid. He would be able to sign for Real Madrid, essentially, make a deal or a pre-agreement, and then leave in June of 2022 and become a merengue, a Real Madrid player. If everything goes to plan, and Kylian Mbappé does not renew with PSG, which he's already showed multiple times that he's not willing to do, even though they've offered him to be even the highest paid player in the world. If he can stay and do that, then in 9 months, this player will start his new adventure as a Real Madrid player. And I believe that that's what's going to happen. I am 100% convinced that that's going to happen. I feel like, I don't know, this whole situation, and here's a personal note before I leave. This whole situation has actually made me proud to be a Madridista, in the sense that, I'm the fact that, we have a player that wants to be on the team so much, and that we actually fought for him as well, because he is a talented player. I'm happy. And then I'm also happy that we're not a state-run club, and essentially, trying to throw millions and millions of dollars, and that there's a legacy of greatness here at Real Madrid. And sure, yes, we've thrown money because we had money at the situation in the past, but the way football is now, with all these state-run clubs that have an entire country backing them, whereas it's no longer run by socios or people that have a say in the club. There's no board. It's just basically a guy with deep pockets behind the team. Then I'm proud as ever to be part of Madrid, and that we tried to get this player with money that has been saved over how many transfer windows now have we not really brought anybody in? So we were trying to do it the right way. And if Mbappé does his part and puts up the same fight for us as we have done for him, and he comes to Real Madrid, as I've said before, he's a bigger Madridista than anybody we've ever seen, a bigger Madridista than Santiago Bernabeu, a bigger Madridista than Alfredo Di Stefano, Raúl, whatever. I think this guy is on his way to be the next Real Madrid legend. Benzema is currently, one of those players that has shown a 100% desire and love for Real Madrid. Mbappe is doing the same thing, and if he comes and plays for this team, my God, the hate will continue against Real Madrid, but as a Madridista, I don't think we would be any prouder than that. So that's my thoughts today on the Real Madrid situation and Kylian Mbappe. And of course, there's going to be a lot of news coming out and everything like that, but we're going to stay on top of it. That's the news I have for now here at Real Madrid Hub. Make sure you guys stay tuned here to the channel. Hit that subscribe button, hit the notification button so you guys are up to date. As I said before, JOTA Real Madrid, my good friend JOTA, he is updating, giving you guys news throughout the day. And you guys can always check out my podcast, which is Y Nada Más Podcast. It's on Spotify, it's on Apple Podcasts, it's on Google Podcasts, it's pretty much anywhere you find your podcast. Y Nada Más Podcast. I put it out once a week, which is a longer form of this. So it's like an hour that I put out where I just ramble on while I drink coffee or whiskey, depending on the time of day. And you can listen to me talk about my thoughts of Madrid there. But for all this news and everything else, go to Real Madrid Hub. Stay here, stay locked on Real Madrid Hub. Hit the subscribe button, and I'll talk to you guys again soon. Thank you very much for listening.